court or for the court to declare them guilty. We are here to help Kenya organize itself in that manner by engaging with the players in the justice system and having a policy position.
All right, Honorable Gachagua, you have a minute to respond. For clarity, have you done business with county government?
Allegations remain just allegations. Honorable Mother knows, and I'll never take her on allegations. A British newspaper accused her of receiving a bribe from BAT, but I cannot come here and accuse her that she's corrupt because of that allegation. Because an allegation is an allegation. The people of Kenyatta have been complaining that she used her office as justice minister to take land in South Gariama and give it to her relatives. But that is just an allegation. The issue here, Sophia, the issue here, Sophia,
we would like
the issue here, Sophia, is that we need to allow.
We'd like to remind the members of our audience to please do not cheer or jeer and allow our candidates to present their issues. Please go ahead.
The issue here is that we need to allow independent institutions to fight corruption. President Uhuru Kenyatta has cried inability to fight corruption because he was lenient. He was lenient because the people involved in mega corruption are close to him, both in family and friends. That is why he was lenient. But had he allowed independent institutions to fight corruption, the issue of leniency would not arise. Had he allowed independent institutions to fight corruption without getting involved, Rigathi Gachagua would not be in court, because independent institutions will never take people to court without evidence. What the Honorable Karua is saying, that we need a law to hasten cases, is not the solution. The solution is to take cases to court when you have evidence.
Karua, you have a minute to rebut.
I just want to let Mr. Gachagua know that I do not have an iota of public land anywhere, in Kirinyaga or anywhere. I do not own land in South Gariama. I am glad he knows they're just allegations. And I challenged the current administration that is there, and I'm not in power in Kirinyaga, that if there is truth to that allegation, then they must swiftly take me to court and recover. So once you challenge those making the allegation and they don't do anything about it, then the matter is closed. The only land I own in Kenya is the house I live in Nairobi, and the house up country, which is on my father's land, and he has included my name in the title. I said I'm not land hungry, and I'm not hungry for material wealth. Those who are hungry may never understand that. Relating to BAT, it was money paid to my campaign secretariat by a donor, not paid to my personal account. Later, it transpired that it was money from a company. The matter has been investigated in UK, and the file has been closed. I also challenged the DPP of the government Gachagua's principal serve in 2016 to investigate and prosecute me.
All right,
so those matters are
up.
Allegations.
Thank you very much. Time is up. But now that we're talking about funds, you all are traversing the country with choppers and legions of teams. How do you finance your campaign, Honorable Gachagua? How much does it cost?
Pardon?
How much does it cost to finance your campaign?
Pardon?
How much does it cost to finance your campaign?
Oh, the sound is not working here.
Sorry.
I can't hear you properly.
Apologies for that.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to finance your campaign?
Well, it's difficult because we don't have a centralized command. Our campaign, we are raising funds from people, and mostly is in materials, is in donations in terms of choppers, in terms of vehicles, in terms of fuel, in terms of personnel. And really, what you need in terms of cash is not much. This campaign of Kenya Kwanza is bottom-up driven. A lot of hustlers have taken time to give their all in terms of time, in terms of materials, in terms of support in kind. There isn't much about cash. So it's very difficult at this stage to quantify and say this is the amount that we are going to use for this campaign. What I know is that in the next 1 week or so, we'll now be talking about real figures, because we have to mobilize agents, we have to mobilize vehicles, we have to get people to protect the vote. Those people need to be given allowances. That is when now we will come to the cost of the real campaign.
All right, Karua, the same question. How do you finance your campaign?
Through public donations in cash and kind. We had a fundraiser just the other Friday, but the donations are a continuous process. The Azimio campaign secretariat is keeping tab. My personal campaign organization, the New Dawn Trust, is also keeping tab of all donations coming to me. And it is the organization that had received the money you asked earlier for BAT. I do not mix campaign money with my own funds because you have to maintain integrity even with donations. We have choppers donated. There is a chopper I personally use, which is a donation from a kind corporate friend. And we have many such donations. And I want to remind Kenyans, my captain, the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, has had choppers in his campaign even when he was out of government. Like the 2007, I think they flashed more choppers than the PNU side I was in that could have. He is a man known for his capability to mobilize resources, both human and financial, for campaign. And I'm very lucky to be his running mate.
Talk to us, Honorable Gachagua, about corruption and election campaigns financing. A lot of opaqueness there, clearly, even from this engagement, and laws around politicians being accountable and there being an eye inside what's going on have not seen day of light. So what are your thoughts? Is there any nexus there?
Well, you know, campaigns and you really cannot control the nations because people support a certain candidate for a certain reason. And it behoves upon the candidate to receive donations that are well-meaning and donations that are not tied to your win and what you need to do for people after. And that is the basis of our campaign. I personally have many friends who have supported me. They have not demanded anything for me in return when we form government. They think we have got a good plan. They think that we need to be given an opportunity to run this country and turn it around. They think that the real thing is the economy. They think that they need to help us to move around the country. And they are well-meaning. I wouldn't say the same of my colleague here because their campaign is being run with the public resources. You are aware that the PS Interior has been meeting chiefs and assistant chiefs who are public servants and give them instructions to work for Azimio. You have seen their meetings being attended by chiefs in uniform. That is the misuse of public resources. We have seen funds from Harambee House, from the confidential expenditure, being put into this campaign. Many of the town hall meetings they are holding in the Mount Kenya region, all the delegates are given 1,000 shillings to go home. And that is money from public coffers.
Do you have evidence of this?
Oh yes, we have photographs, we have recordings, we have audios, they're there. We are always well appraised because many of those people who go to receive that money are actually our supporters. And they say they don't want to allow the elephant to die with the tusks. They need to remove the tusks before it is dead. That is what is happening. And public servants, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, is on record campaigning for Azimio. The Cabinet Secretary for ICT is on record campaigning for Azimio. These are public officials. They are public, they are paid with public money, but they are campaigning. That is misuse of public resources. And my colleague here, who says she's a stickler of the rule of law, has not condemned that because I would want her to condemn that because she says she's a stickler of the rule of law. And if she finds public resources are being used to prepare her to office, she should be bold enough to say that is wrong. She should speak out against the misuse of chiefs and assistant chiefs by the PS Interior to campaign for her and her boss.
Okay, Honorable Karua, just to build on that, all corruption scandals, Eurobond, Kimarer, Afia House, KEMSA, do find a dotted line into politics. As you respond to this question, how does Azimio and yourself going to deal with these questions that we have to deal with now?
May I begin there by saying that Azimio government is very clear on what it will do. Both my captain and I have repeatedly said there will be no sacred cows. Anybody involved in corruption will face the law, irrespective of who they are. As for campaigning with public resources, that's a publication. What I know is that every presidential candidate is entitled to security. So there will be security apparatus, whether it is the Deputy President's campaign or the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. We mobilize our own meetings, using our candidates, using everybody. Anybody who attends, they attend on their own volition. Yes, there are some cabinet secretaries who have attended our meetings, but they have sometimes attended as a by the way. When they attend deliberately, it's of their own volition, and it's not because we need them to mobilize. Let nobody forget that there is no political operator who can mobilize more than the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. I also personally do not need help to mobilize. I've been in this game for 30 years. When Mr. Gachagua was still a DO, I was in politics.
All right. You have a response to that? 1 minute rebuttal.
Well, I have no rejoinder for that. My request is that it is about time we move to the real issues that the people of this country need to know. What is our plan? We have talked many issues, and that is a good thing. But the people of Kenya need to know, what does Rigathi Gachagua and William Ruto have for them? I'm hoping that debate will come around tonight, because it's important. Because many Kenyans are glued to the screens. They are waiting to hear. They want to know about health. They want to know about education. The public service wants to know about their issues. The police service wants to know about their issues. There are many people waiting, and I think I am guessing they must be getting
Yeah.
Honorable Gachagua, we are getting to that, and corruption is a big issue in this country, where public resources...
Corruption must be fought, and the real corruption is state capture and conflict of interest.
What is state capture?
State capture is where the people in power compete with citizens for scarce resources, where the people in power use their position to advantage themselves to get business unfairly, where people in power allocate resources to projects where they have an interest. I have an example. In the year 20, I want to tell you what is state capture and conflict of interest. This is Gazette Notice Legal number 1112, dated 26th June 2019. In the exercise of powers conferred by Section 106 of the Stamp Duty Act, the Cabinet Secretary of the National Treasury and Planning, on the recommendation of the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning, directs that the instruments executed in respect of the transactions relating to the merger of NIC, PLC, and Commercial Bank of Africa shall be exempt from the provisions of the Act. By a single signature, these two companies owned by the first family were exempted from paying 350 million. These are rich banks who have made money from domestic borrowing. They have lent money to government. They are in Fuliza. The owners are the richest people in Kenya. They were exempted from paying 350 million. Money that can put up 35 level 3 hospitals in Kenya. That is conflict of interest and state capture. That is chronic corruption. It's worse than the corruption associated with public procurement. And that is what we must deal with. Okay. We must deal with state capture. We must deal with conflict of interest. There is a railway line between Nairobi and Nyanyuki that was put up at a cost of 3.8 billion. That railway line serves one company that supplies fuel to Nyanyuki.
All right, Honorable Gachagua, thank you very much for this. Unfortunately, I cannot authenticate
no,
this document.
You asked me what is state capture.
I'm giving you time, but I cannot authenticate the document that you just read right now. So, I've seen in your manifesto that you would put a commission to investigate these bribes. Would you go after the first family?
We will not go after anybody. We'll go after all those who are in state capture and conflict of interest.
Who are they?
But what are you saying?
That will come out in the commission. I'm saying there will be a commission, because the real corruption that we need to deal with, not what Honorable Mother is talking about, is state capture and conflict of interest, where the people in power have used their offices to usurp public resources to their advantage and to the disadvantage of the rest of Kenyans. you are aware that the milk industry has been monopolized by state capture and conflict of interest, where the owners of that monopoly decide how much to buy from the farmers and how much to sell to the consumers.
So, Honorable,
and extort the people of Kenya.
Clarity for the Kenyans who are watching.
Yeah.
At the center of government
Yes.
is President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
Are you going to go after President Uhuru Kenyatta finishes his term?
I have said we are not talking about individuals. We'll deal with state capture and conflict of interest. Anybody
But
who
you
is
are
involved in state
talking
capture and
about-
conflict of interest
You are talking
will be held
about
to account.
the first family, sir. So grab the bull by its horns. Don't perhaps cut around the issue. You are talking about the first family. So in essence, you are saying you will go after them. Isn't that
I am saying this is state capture. I've given you an example. You will feel for yourself what needs to happen.
all right?
And I am saying that is what we need to deal with. You know, state capture. And that is why the president will say he is lenient. He cannot deal with state capture. He cannot deal with conflicts of interest.
Okay.
He can't.
Thank you very much. Honorable Karua, you have 2 minutes.
I want to help Mr. Gachagua. State capture is the repurposing of the state to serve individuals rather than public good. And corruption cartels in this country, whoever they are, have strangled the country. I opened by saying Kenya can't breathe. Our health services, their money is taken, the money for agriculture, for fertilizer subsidies, money for building dams such as Kimwerel, Arol, Galana Kularu, which was supposed to help Kenya feed itself. That is what state capture is about, that every penny intended for the public, a majority of it is ending up in people's pockets. This is not about families or individuals. It's cartels, and cartels are organized people, gangs of criminals, because what they are doing is committing crime. And you don't need a commission to punish crime. You just need serious law enforcement. And if you find roadblocks, that cases are taking too long, then Parliament can be used to do its work, to consider proposals from the government, to pass laws that fast-track such cases. We all know that election petition cases take 6 months. Why can't corruption cases similarly take such a period? That is the debate that must go to the National Assembly. Mr. Gachagua serves in the National Assembly. I have not heard him talk about corruption except when defending his own position in the case he's involved in. In contrast, I'm out of Parliament. I've been vocal, whether it's KEMSA, whether it's any other corruption. And I've also been vocal in upholding the rule of law and reminded my brother President Kenyatta that he cannot serve beyond his term, a position he holds at this moment, that he is going home.
So, Honorable Karua, do you agree then that there's state capture in Kenya? And secondly, what do you make of their proposal to form a commission of inquiry into the same in Kenya if elected?
That just expresses their reluctance to fight corruption. In fact, Mr. Gachagua's principle is captured on tape in an interview in this country, saying that corruption